Hi everyone, it's Lucy here. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. It's so beautiful and sunny here, so just enjoying these last few days of summer. I wanted to show you today a little bit of blending and showing you the difference between the blending tools, which are these little creatures, and the blending brushes, which are these little creatures, and why you would use one over the other. So just a few little tips today on those. If you've got any other questions about blending tools or blending brushes that I don't cover in this little video, please feel free to contact me, and I'll be most willing to go over those with you. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, what I wanted to do is show you the difference when you use them with stencils. So say if you've got an intricate stencil like this one here, your blending brush is the tool that I would tend to go for. So I'll just show you the difference between, I'll just use a little scrap piece of paper and show you the difference between the blending brush and the blending tool. So with the blending brush, you just use it the same as the blending tool. You just pop it on your ink pad and then just roll it round and round. Okay, so just get it well inked, and then we'll just go over this area here. So you can see there, you've got a really lovely crisp image of the stencils, and you can see I'm not catching on any of those little intricate bits and pieces, which I find with the blending tool, that's what happens. You actually, it catches on those. So again, when you're using a blending tool, just round and round, circle round on your ink pad, and then you can see it actually can pick up and wreck your stencil, especially if you've got, see, little intricate parts like this little piece here, the little centre vein of the leaf. It tends to catch on that. Not only can it ruin your stencil, but then it can also degrade your foam on your little blending tool. So you can see here the difference between the blending brush. So this is the blending tool here, and this is the blending brush. So you can see there is quite a bit of difference. You really do get a lot more detail. So you can see here with these little dots here, we've completely missed the stems on these dots. So yeah, and it's a more, it's not crisp, whereas this part is nice and crisp. So that's just with plain out stenciling. Now, if we were to go round the edge of that, so just blend around the edge, if you want a really lovely subtle edge, again using the blending brush gives you a much more subtle blend around the edge. So you can see that is really nice and blended in. But if we were to hold it in our hand, it's not such, especially if you've got darkness on it, it's not so nice. Okay, it's not so even. So this kind of thing I don't recommend unless you want a really super grungy look. But if you want a nice blended in look, then I'd go, so say you were doing a vintage layout where you want to creep a little bit of the colour onto the page or onto the card. The thing that I do like about the blending tools is it actually can give you a nice, so it can give you a very subtle straight edge there. You can then bring it on a little bit further. So it's much nicer than the blending brush when held in the hand. You can also then bring it on, but by doing it on the paper. But again, I find you tend to get more of these marks here, that it's harder to avoid, and you've got less control. Whereas this, with the brush, you can bring it on quite gently and subtly. So if you want that subtle look, then the blending brush is the way to go. If you're wanting, you know, maybe on a guy's layout where you're wanting it to look a bit grungy, then you can use your blending tool. So again, you use whatever you've got in your set of equipment. But if you're looking to buy something to achieve a particular effect, then, you know, whichever effect you want, then buy the tool to achieve that effect. So for me, the blending brushes have been a real godsend. I do love them, but I still do find that the blending tools do have their place, especially the thing that I find is when you're wanting to just have that sort of a more even but finer edge on the edge of the page, or the edge of whatever the piece of work that you're working on. Okay, so that's those little tips. The thing that I wanted to show you is this lovely, close to my heart, is bringing out a lot more stamps with matching stencils along with the dies. And this is one stamp that I've been using quite a lot lately, and it has the die cut that will die cut out this whole stamp, but then it also has the matching stencils. And I find the stencils are great if you're wanting to get a job done really quickly, or in the case of this layout that I've designed using this stamp, is that you can colour these flowers. See those three flowers, you can colour them very quickly. So because you're using the stencils. So if you wanted to colour them in with alcohol markers or watercolour them, if you really wanted to get that real definition, then you've also got that option as well. But for me, if I'm wanting to get something done quickly, then the stencils work fantastic. So let me just show you that. I'm just going to stamp, get rid of the brown. I'm just going to stamp this up with the black ink. And I'm just going to pop it, on here, and I'll probably die cut this later. But I just want to show you the stenciling and how well it works with the blending brushes. So you've got your stamped image, and then you've got these little stencils that we're just going to lay the stencil on. Oh, there's my tummy growling. And you can see I've done it in the pink on the layout, and then I've done it with the blue on these little cards here. So this is a card that I've made for my workshop on Monday. So Monday, girls, this is one of the cards that you'll be making. So we've got the first stencil, and that allows us, and I'm going to show you what it looks like with the purple, because I haven't brought out the old Wilted Violet in quite a long time, and it needs to come out and have a play. So what I'm going to do, and this again is where the blending tool, the blending brushes come into their own, because we can get some nice gentle colour on. So if we just blend over the whole thing lightly, and you can see there's no real swipe marks, but then if we press really hard on the edges, we can get a nice kind of blended in darker. Darker image. Okay, so that took all of 30 seconds to colour that flower. Then what we can do is that we've got another stencil here that will give us the centres of our flowers. Oh, except I'll go back to front. So we'll just get it going the right way, and the stencils match up beautifully, really, really well. So we just make sure the dots are all lined up in the middles of our flowers. And then what we can do, so with the blending brush, it's really easy to get lots of different shading. So we can now go in and really go hard to get the really deep purple centers. So again, it's the same colour, but you've got those 3 different shades going on. Okay. And then we'll add we've got the 3rd stencil here that we'll add for the leaves. So we're just going to use the Shabby Shutters, so just that light green. So just line that up, make sure that's all lined up again. And then we've got the green added. So you can see how quickly that that was all coloured in. And then we can just die cut that out and add it to a project. Or like I've done with the scrapbooking layout, I haven't actually die cut any of them out. I've just created that border to go up the page and added the lace. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is blending a background. So if we start off with the, I might use the Close to My Heart inks. So I'm going to use the Capri for the sky. So you can see here there's no smudge marks. And I can just keep adding colour, and you can see there it almost looks like there's a bit of a cloud effect going on. So I'm just going to bring that down a bit lower. So again, I do tend to start off the page, because when you've inked them up, they do tend to, they will splodge a little bit too. So, start off the page, because when you've got it really heavily inked. And then we can just add the green. So a bit of the avocado. So you can see there, I have got some marks there because I've had the brush way too wet. This is a new ink pad and it was quite heavy with ink. So when I put on the blending tool, I should have, just remembered that this was a new ink pad and probably started off. But like most of the time, you're going to get that nice blend. I'm going to stamp some grasses over that anyway, so it's going to look fine. But now what I'll show you is with the blending tools, and you can see the difference in the effect. So I'm just going to use the Mermaid Lagoon here. So again, we're going to start off the page. And you can see, even though I've blended nice, you are getting these swipes. So you're getting a lot more colour on there very quickly. So if you're not, you're not caring about it being sort of super light, or, worrying about how subtle your work is, then of course you can go as hard as you like. And I find the more ink you've got on your blending tools, when you start off the page, it will come on a lot nicer. But you can see here I've got more marks than I had. Okay, so that's with the blending tool with the oxides. So again, it's not a bad effect, but you can see it's a lot darker. It's a lot less subtle than this one that was done with the brushes. But what I didn't show you, actually what I meant to show you, was what it looks like. Yep, there we go. What it looks like when you use the oxides with the blending brushes. So let's have a go with those. Okay, so you can see here, this is the Close to My Heart ink pads that we use with the blending brush. And these were blending tools, blending brushes. So you can see which effect, so same colour ink. So I've used the Mermaid Lagoon at the top, Mowed Lawn at the bottom. So you can see, you know, which effect that you like. This is a lot darker. This is quite a bit lighter. So it's that whether you're, you know, what effects you're wanting to achieve. Okay. Then we can just do a little bit of stamping. So I'm just going to use this little, actually I haven't seasoned these yet, so I just rub them, if they're new and haven't been inked up before, just rub them on the inside of your wrist and then ink it up. You could, if you're really not certain about it, you could stamp it first, make sure, oh yeah, that looks like it's stamping quite nicely. And then we're going to just take it slightly off the page, side and bottom. So we've now got our little daisies on there. And we'll put our little thinking of you. Oh, I forgot to season that as well. But that looks like it's stamping nicely anyway. So put a little thinking you up there. And then our little dragonfly. So again, I haven't used him, so we'll season him up. And pop our little dragonfly. On there. So there's a little very, very quick and easy card front. So you could add a little bit of icicles, which I would, to the little dragonfly. I think a nice black mat and then onto a white card I think would be, just keep it simple. You could also put icicles, if you were so inclined, onto the little daisies there, would look quite nice. So that's it. I think that's all I really wanted to tell you. So what we could do is now go back in with our blending tools, and this is where we can edge up. So we can really put a kind of defining edge around that. If we wanted to again give it a slightly vintage look, we could then add in a bit of the brown. So that just gives it a bit more of a frame around it. And then we've got our brown here, so let's see what it looks like with a little bit of the brown. Sorry, I keep knocking the camera. So if we just put a little bit of brown. And now I am going to come in a little bit further with the blue. So again, you can keep working on it until you're happy with it. And for me, I think I want a little bit more daisy there. Yep. So I think I'm happy with that. A little bit of brown, just very subtly around the edge, just gives it a little frame. Okie dokies. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that and it's answered a few of your questions as to why blending brush, why blending tool. And so hopefully I've answered a few questions for you. Anyway, take care, enjoy your Saturday, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend as well. And remember, you're always close to my heart. And if I can help you in any way, please feel free to contact me. Bye.